Okay, guys, let's do a recap. Beautiful trade. Okay, so we came into the trading day. We came into the trading day in our first video, and we talked about how the market was in an uptrend. We were green, green. Dual trend filter was green, green. Right there, green, green. Let me get this in white so you can see it. Good job, guys. Good job on this last short. The market is falling in that big tradable gap that we went over. All right, so green, green, what we talked about. Play the last video I just did. We're going to look for a retracement. Right after I got off the video, we're looking for a V bottom. We said we're only buying the V bottom that comes in. Yellow trigger comes in, gets the V bottom. We talked about in the room, the target would be up here at the resistance level because that was the overall target based upon market profile. We said if we ever get a red-red situation today, a red-red, where it turns red-red, that's with big trend. Big trend was down. We talked about that in the first video that we did this morning, that if it gets with red-red, it's total trend alignment. The smart money was grabbing liquidity short all day, all morning since midnight. We'll look for the first V-top. There's your first V-top. It had green candles all the way up. There's our yellow trigger entry at 67 3/4. After the V-top, we educate traders to only take shorts when it's red-red, only take longs when it's green-green. You can turn on the liquidity grab trader, which you guys are doing in the room, reading your comments, talking to you guys in and outside the room. You're turning the liquidity grab trader on. The first liquidity grab after that V-top yellow trigger, there's your V-top, was red-red. You could turn the liquidity grab trader on. Liquidity grab trader, that's the first distortion of price that came into the market. This is when they got all the counter trend traders out of the market at that level, and these distortion in prices, they kept grabbing liquidity, the smart money taking price against the overall trend of the market to get the counter trend traders out of the market. All these counters trying to catch the falling knife are getting wiped out again today by our algorithm picking it south. So there is the first liquidity grab. Algorithm gets short after the first liquidity grab. That's how you can turn it on. It will get your entry, your stops, and your exits. This is liquidity grab. We had another liquidity grab that we talked about on the failure trade. We talked about a failure trade coming in on this push. We talked about that earlier, a failure when there's a trend change. So how did we project this big gap on the microphone? So this morning, I established what? I established we had a big gap. So at 8:15 this morning, I established we had a big gap. This actually moved down from 66. The big gap I was telling traders was 72. So 72 at this level, our target was all the way down to 53 1/4. LVA just adjusted a second ago. LVA was sitting here at 72, 71 and a half, 72 right there. So that's where LVA was. What we established this morning in the room, that if we got into this tradable gap, our tradable gaps are 2 to 4 hour profiles. If we got below this tradable gap, look for the first V-top. Our target would be all the way down to 53 1/4. That would be our target. It exactly got into that tradable gap. And look what happened. Here was 72. That was a 72 breaking point here this morning that we talked about. Right there. 72 was the breaking point in the market right there, 72. So we got our first trade, our failure trade happened here, close a couple candles below our outer zone. This is when it got into a push down. We said look for the first V top to occur. Red, red, trend filters red, red. There's the first V top that occurred. That's the entry on the first V top, 67 3/4. We know that the liquidity grab will happen in between the VTOP and the Momo 1. That's a liquidity grab. Did we get it? Sure enough, liquidity grab trader. You could turn it on after the VTOP, after the yellow trigger. Let it manage your position on the entry, targeted exits. It sure did. Had a beautiful fill with trend. That's the first liquidity grab after the VTOP. 66 3/4. It's got as low as 50. Over a 17-point hit in the market. This was projected way ahead of time. We projected this at 8:30 this morning, 8:20 this morning. It's 10:50 now. This is a leading algorithm, leading indicator. We're not using moving averages. We're not using Fibonacci's, pivot levels, all these counter trend trading tools that traders use. We like to short low, cover lower. The short was at 67 3/4. Got as low as 49. That's the push we're looking for. And it was all set up 2 hours ago. You guys are doing an awesome job. Way to talk through all these trades. Congratulations to all you traders that walked through this before it happened this morning. You guys are all chatting in the chat room, getting these trade setups. And I love seeing success. Joe and I both love seeing success with the system. We are now looking for another VTOP as we talk right now. Another VTOP in the making. So after a VTOP happens, over here on the other chart too with the strategy running, there's a VTOP. Liquidity grab trader will look for the first liquidity grab that occurs, a distortion in price. We have another VTOP here. Now it's going to look for the next gap to fill. That's the next gap to possibly fill. So we're looking for a distortion in price to fill a liquidity grab. You'll see it be a stop hunt. What they'll do, they'll drive price higher and they'll bring it back, close it back red. That's when the strategy will get filled like it did up here. It had a beautiful entry this morning for you guys. All you guys that had the strategy trader, the strategy liquidity grab trader, that was a beautiful trade. Beautiful trade to the downside. Now it's looking for another one, another trade here this morning on liquidity grab. All right, so we're going to see it. It's trying to push back up against trend, and when it closes back down. Now, what I established today, and this is a great learning tool for you traders that don't understand about liquidity grab trading, this long-term chart said it all, right? It said it all this morning. It told us all this morning. What did I tell traders in the room? We saw this as a big green ticking bar this morning. We saw the big ticking green bar. Our dual trend filter was showing green, green. What I told traders is this. The smart money was grabbing liquidity shorts all the way into yesterday's close. Shorts, 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 taking the counters out of the market. So when I saw this big distortion in price this morning live in the market today, I said, hey, if we turn red, red, if we turn red, red on our algorithm, if we turn red, red, we have total trend alignment. Look for the market to possibly fill this big gap of 20 S&P points. And it sure did. It came into it. We had a big liquidity grab. It turned red, red here this morning at 10:07. Looking for the first VTOP we talked about live in the room on the microphone. You guys were talking in the chat room. That's where you guys got filled on the first VTOP at 68. Then we talked about the first liquidity grab always happens between the VTOP and Momo 1. Momo 1 used to be our entry. Now that we have the liquidity grab trader, Momo 1 now is our exit. That's our first exit point. You traders were typing in the room that you're getting exited after your VTOP into this Momo 1 that fired. Now we are early in the game. We get the VTOP with dual trend. We get the liquidity grab with trend. Now when we get the Momo 1 that comes in, guess what? We're getting out of the market with profits, right? So it shows that that's the exit point in the market. Now we have another VTOP that comes in. That's the second VTOP of the day. You guys are doing a great job inside and outside the room picking this up. I appreciate you guys talking to the room, talking about these trades before they come up. Leading indicator. There's your two VTOPs. Look at the gap that got filled. There's our big gap that got filled. That was our target. We hit our gap targets yesterday. We hit our gap targets on Wednesday. Great trading week, guys. Great. It's almost 11 o'clock on the big gap. This is the gap we're looking for to get filled this morning after that V-top. There it is. There's a big tradable gap all the way down to it. Okay. Remember, these 2 to 4 hour market profiles, they show the big gap in the market of all the trading participants. That's not my opinion. That's not your opinion. We don't try to tell the market where it's going to go. We let the market decide where it wants to show us where it's going to go with our dual trend filter, with our V-tops, with our liquidity grab trader, and that helps us get into these positions, and that's how we do it. All right. So great job today, guys. That's a recap of today's trading. We had the first V-bottom with trend. Then we had our second V-top with trend and our third V-top with trend. We've only had 3 trades today. It was 3 for 3 today. 1 V-bottom, 2 V-tops. If you want to take the failure trade when we went into the chop mode of the trend transition phase, that was also a nice one, 70.5 down to potential of 64, almost a 6-point or 23, 24 tick potential trade on the failure trade. If you only want to trade with trend, like we educate new traders to do, we educate traders to only trade with their trend filter. Simply look for V-tops with trend. We talked about this in our last 2 videos. We talked about just sticking with trend. If it's green, green, look for the V-bottom, first liquidity grab. If it's red, red, look for the V-top, first liquidity grab. When we see these Momo ones come up, hey, that used to be, back in the day, another entry for us to get the momentum to the downside. Now we're even further in, earlier in the setup, because now we know when the market's pushing against trend, grabbing liquidity, getting the stop hunts on all the counter trend traders, and then continuing the trade to the downside. Excellent job.